Yeah, you already can't even see it. The seam is gone.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Today we're working on seaming some carpet, or I should say Steve is working on seaming some carpet. He actually understands what's going on. The lengths of the carpet have already been stretched into each side. The seaming is the part that is remaining to do. So how long have you been doing carpet, Steve?
Oh, I started going out on carpet jobs with my father when I was 12.
More than
So
a couple
50
years.
years.
50 years? That's significant. So what are we starting here with, Steve?
Well, we're cutting off the rough factory edge.
So don't glue the factory edges together?
No.
I think I did that on a project before, and you could see the seam.
The backing on carpet, this is a latex, and as you cut it, you break the weave. And so that weave is broken and it has to be resealed.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can see it. You can see where the...
Right. It has to be resealed with a latex
Oh, really?
sealer. Once I cut this now and get the other one cut up to it, then we'll separate them and we'll latex both edges.
Okay, interesting.
So that they won't unravel. You won't get what's called a zipper seam.
That's what mine looked like. Zipper seam is what I was going for on my other project.
Okay.
Well,
You accomplished your goal.
That's what I decided after the fact anyway. So you're just taking
I'm just
a straight
eyeballing
edge.
about an inch,
Yep.
3/4 to an inch off. Normally I would have stretched to this side, put in nails to hold the stretch up
Okay.
to the seam.
Yep.
Then I would cut this side. Then I would straight edge this one and just slide it up next to it.
Okay.
And
Yep.
then stretch in that side. But
So
because
you-
it was done ahead of time, it makes it a little more difficult.
Right, so we're showing you how to fix a bad situation, basically. Here.
Each half of this room has got stretch on 3 walls and not 4.
Yep.
So the stretch isn't fully contained.
Okay, that makes sense. We finished cutting that seam off over there, the edge of the carpet rather, and now we're going to cut the other side. How do you cut that at the right length?
I'm just going to rough cut it, and then we have to trim the whole thing with a scissor.
Okay. So you're going to leave yourself like an extra 1/4 inch overlap,
Yeah.
basically? So your dad was a flooring installer.
Yeah, he learned it from the gentleman he bought the businesses from, and then he taught me.
And the rest is history. I will put links in the description to the different products that we use in this video as far as the tools and materials that are needed, so you guys can click that little triangle and it should expand and you can see the different things that you'll be needing. This is the part that really matters. You trim off the excess so that you can see approximately where you need to trim it to.
And see, the carpet has rows, but the rows don't necessarily line up with the fiber lines back here.
Okay.
So you can't go by that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I think I've done that before too when I was working on my zipper seam or whatever you called that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I was
followed this?
Yeah, just looking at that.
And then it didn't go straight.
I don't think I did that for the whole way, but I've definitely used that method in certain circumstances, like along the wall where you're trying to trim it back a little bit.
Yeah. See, if you get your shears into the row, then you can snip it right down the row.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So that's not a regular scissors. That's a pretty hefty
Yeah. It's carpet shears.
carpet shear specifically.
2 more rows.
So when I briefly considered doing this myself, without researching anything, the way I had imagined doing it was taking a razor blade and just like going through both layers at the same time from the top and hoping that that would cause them to both to be the same length in the end.
That would have been a terrible idea.
Do you want the backing to be touching, or do you...
Well, it could have a
tiny gap.
1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch is at the most.
You definitely don't want any extra. You don't want it to be pushing up against the
Right.
back.
I have to make sure that it 1/16 of an inch,
Yep.
and then both edges will be latex now. So that'll fill that gap. See how you separate them and you can see the row?
Oh, sure, yep. Kind of like parting hair. But that's a key point that we kind of briefly touch on, is that you don't ever cut the carpet from the top. Right? No. I'm sure that I've done that before.
Oh, many people have done that before.
You're not cutting it from the top because you're separating the fibers.
Right.
Or separating
I'm not cutting
strands.
any of the carpet along the edge.
Yep.
Because if you did, it would create like a V
Yep.
with the shorter fibers meeting. If I were to take one little fiber and snip it off,
Yeah, you won't.
Nobody would notice that.
Right.
You know.
Yep. And so, yeah, you either use a shear or you cut it from the back. And that's
Right.
how you have to...
Yeah.
I shouldn't have told Steve. He was fine until now. Okay, this piece is going like this, technically. Okay? And that's the long way of that piece. And then this piece is going this way.
Oof.
Oh, no.
Never do that with carpet. Carpet all has to lay the exact same direction because it has what's called a direction of pile. The carpet fibers lay down one way.
Okay.
When you brush it, that's the direction of pile.
Right, okay.
So all carpet has to lay that same way in all rooms.
Okay.
So
We'll make another video called The Top 5 Mistakes I Made When Laying Carpet.
your rough edge here
Yep.
wore that line
Oh,
in there.
sure. It might slowly disappear a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, a good vacuuming with a beater bar vacuum.
Yep.
You know,
It'll help it.
you can't over vacuum carpet.
Right.
Yeah.
That's part of...
You should vacuum minimum once a week. Your hands and your feet give off lanolin.
Yeah, a little bit of oil.
Right.
Yep.
And so if you're a family that goes barefoot, your carpets are going to mat faster.
Right.
So you'll see traffic lanes much sooner. Where if you wear slippers,
It's not gonna as much.
Right.
Yep. So we're gonna make do with what we've got, but it's the same concept for this seam, other than it might be visible due to the installer's poor choice of method. So we shall see. We're learning so that hopefully you don't make the same mistakes. Where does that crunchy sound come from? Sometimes after we vacuum the carpet real good, you walk around, it kind of like...
that's this plastic on the pad.
Is that pretty normal that carpet does that?
You shouldn't hear it much once the carpet's stretched on it.
Yeah. Oh, it comes back to installation error again. I was reading a little bit about it, and they say that sometimes if the batch of carpet was like ran through the machine too hot, it can cause the backing to just slowly degrade or something like that.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, that's not your issue.
Yeah.
That's called delaminated.
So what's that stuff called again?
They call it universal seam sealer.
Universal seam sealer.
We just got to seal this cut edge.
The very edge of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got even like a little notch in it. It's designed just for that.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, come on. Oh, they sold me a frozen bottle. I just bought this yesterday in
Really?
Marshall.
Oh,
so
man.
they went and put it on their shelf, and here it's been frozen. So,
So we might have to try
we'll
again.
do this after lunch then.
So a new bottle, and it appears that the consistency is different.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Was it about the consistency of wood glue almost?
Yeah, a lot of the younger, newer installers don't do this. When they got away from the old jute backing
Okay.
and went to the latex backing, this was a requirement. If you don't latex these, they're going to come apart. I guarantee my seams, if it starts coming apart, I'll come back and fix it for nothing.
Wow.
But in 50 years, I haven't had to go back and fix
Wow.
one seam.
Even if someone else installs it and does a terrible
No.
job like me? How long does that have to dry before you...
15 minutes.
Oh, so it's not really long.
No, it dries pretty fast.
And you're using cardboard in this area because of the space restraint.
Well, because this
Constraints.
is all tucked in and straight,
Yep.
there's no way to get them out.
Right.
So,
Yep.
seam tape has center lines in it.
Oh, so you can see where
So you
you're at.
want your two pieces of carpet to be meeting in that center because this also is latex.
Yep.
Same as on the backing of the carpet. So what the iron will do is it'll melt that, and then you push down on it, and the pushing down on just pad will make this go like that.
Okay, and then it'll
And
stay
you're-
that way.
Well, you'll get, yeah, when it dries, it dries hard.
Yep.
It's just the opposite of a peak seam that's cut too tight.
Oh, okay.
That'll pop up. That would make it go down.
So using the cardboard helps it stabilize it.
Yep. Well, and I won't step on it and put extra weight on it either.
Yep.
Not like I can with the boards. You always want to position your iron where you're going to end your seam because
Right.
it's hot and it'll melt anything. Now, the seamer has a heat setting. If you got a really thick seam tape, you want to set it a little hotter. It
Yep.
does have a light on the front here.
Okay.
You see it's red?
Yep. Oh, shuts off. Or there, just...
Yep. So,
So now you know it's met temperature.
yeah. See, my tape is moving with the iron.
Yeah, I could see where that would be the case, especially at the beginning.
Yep. And so you gotta kind of hold it down.
Yep.
Pull it out a ways. Position your carpet. And then you just kind of rub it into the latex. And you do about 6 to 8 inches at a time.
Some guys use like a carpet tractor, I've heard it called. Like this little thing that like rolls back and forth that has little fingers that push down.
Right.
Have you seen those?
Yep. They're just a gimmick.
Just a gimmick for you to buy one more thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that looks amazing already. Smells amazing too. Now you're ready for when you get to the end, you can just pull it out.
Pull it out.
Yeah.
Planning ahead.
The one time I laid carpet.
This was your one time?
No, the one time I actually did it in a rental house.
Oh.
I know that I definitely did not have anything underneath it, so I think it had that little valley, whatever thing going on. I think I made all the mistakes on that job.
Some of that is just tricks. Little things you'll learn to make it easier. The whole key to seaming carpet is getting good close cuts.
Yep. It's like with painting or anything else, it's all about prep.
Yeah.
You made it to the wall. Now what do? Lift it out and don't set it on the carpet.
Right.
And just like that, the seam is gone.
I would like to have had the carpet tighter.
That was my brother-in-law's fault.
That's right, the fall guy.
One thing we were talking about earlier that we weren't on camera at that point was if you have the choice for where to put your seams in the carpet, don't put them perpendicular to a light source like a skylight. When you have light that's coming and shining across the floor at an angle like this, if we had ran our carpet the other direction in here, going this way, it would have been less likely to see the seam. Now, most likely I don't think we're going to see it anyway, but if we do, it's definitely...
Now the pressure's on.
It's definitely not because of Steve if we are able to see it.
Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
That looks amazing. Once you tuck this edge in here, you wouldn't even be able to find it. So you have some pieces of 1/4 inch, what is that? Just like underlayment kind of stuff here. That you're
Masonite.
Masonite?
Yeah.
And that's a nicer backing to work with.
Yeah, you know, it's a stiffer product. And I just cut it in sections and then...
You had just used those to prop up the edges while it was drying.
While it was drying, so it didn't stick to the pad or each other.
Yep. You can still feel the heat from where that strip is.
It's going to take a while to cool off. And then I've got a little finishing snips that'll go along, and you might have some fibers that are sticking up.
Yep, so you follow that down
and
across
trim that off. You can feel it. It's a hardened edge. That stops the unraveling process that you're going to get.
Yep.
The seam tape doesn't stop that.
Are there different grades of like this
Seam tape?
seam tape?
Yes.
Is this what you would recommend, or is this kind of the run of the mill?
This is the middle of the road.
Would you recommend going with higher end when you can, as far as like buy the most expensive tape there is, or?
Your places like Menards and Home Depot are not going to sell the higher level Roberts seam tape.
Yep.
There's other brands besides Roberts, but they have like 5 different grades of seam tape.
Okay.
And it's based on the thickness of latex and the fiber wrapped in it.
Yep. Okay.
Because they're my seams, I have a tendency to buy the better seam tape.
Well, I imagine the cost of just buying some nicer stuff is a lot cheaper than going back and redoing something.
Right.
Could you even redo a seam?
You could possibly stretch from this side, put what's called a patch, flip it over, take your iron on the back side of the tape. It'll melt that again, and then you can pull the old seam tape off.
Oh, you can. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and then you would have an edge to cut and latex again.
Yep.
So
what's the sign if you have your iron too hot or too cold?
the latex in front of the iron would be just liquefying too much.
I think that happened to me.
Were you using a carpet seamer?
Yeah, it was something that looked similar to that.
Oh, okay.
But right in front of there, you would kind of be beating up and you'd be pushing your latex along.
Yeah.
Will it be hard to push if it's...
Oh yeah, if it's not ready for me to push it, it won't move.
Okay. So how do you get your boards out then? You just pull back the corner of the...
I'll have to disconnect that wall.
Yep, okay.
Oh, I've had customers go, how come the carpet's hard here compared to here? You'll just have to live with that.
Just don't, fall down right there.
No, that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks awesome. So is there a time limit to how long that thing can sit there? Like as far as how
Well,
quickly
you
need
don't
to-
want to overcook the latex.
Yeah.
Like I said, then it just liquefies and you get no adherence.
Seam be gone.
One piece of carpet or two become one. If any work themselves up at a later date, you just lift them gently and snip them.
You don't grab a hold of it and just pull? Asking Steve all the triggering questions.
Oh, here.
Yeah, you couldn't find it.
Seriously, I could.
So you kick it in towards the corner.
Yeah, at an angle.
You can see the whole carpet move a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
The tucking tool, what is that called? The
Driver.
driver. The kicker and the driver.
Yeah.
That's kind of an intense process too, isn't it?
Well, I'm trying to get it as tight as I can, too.
Yep. And we got the doors pulled off because you don't want to have to deal with the doors in the doorways. What special considerations are there for like seams in doorways?
Typically you want your seam under your door,
Oh, sure.
not out here in front of the door.
So when the door is closed, it'd just be
seam's under the door.
right center on that.
Yep.
Nice. It's almost like hot glue where once
Yeah.
it cools, it's set.
Yep.
It's not like it has to dry, it just
Yeah,
has to
that's
cool.
basically what it is a hot glue gun on a piece of tape. So there's two ways to do steps. You can run them all the way around the lip of the run
Yep.
and then flat with the riser, or you can do it a waterfall and just
Where it just kind
angle
of
it
angles down.
Yeah.
We're going to do one step of each. That way Naomi can decide. I don't know what she's going to pick. Say that again. All we need to do is what?
All we need to do is leave tack strip on the steps, and the kids walk a lot slower down the stairs.
Wait, what?
We're going to leave the tack strip on the stairs. That way it helps you guys remember to go slow.
I'm coming.
Watch your step. You made it. Woohoo. So we had a little bit of time to think about it. Which one are you going to choose?
I think to go with the rest of our house, just like minimal modern
Yep.
look. Yeah.